Hello, this is Elliot, W6EL, and I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite new radios, the IC-7610. Now, this video is going to contain some things you might not like if you like this radio, because I'm not going to focus on the positives. Everybody knows this is one of the best radios you can buy, period. It's certainly the best radio I have. I like this radio a lot. But what I want to point out in this video is some of the shortcomings that I feel should be addressed. I'm not talking about little wobbly knobs or connectors on the back. I'm talking about the interface, the buttons on the screen, the colors, the way it's organized, and just the way that this radio is used in practice. If you love this radio and you can't take a little criticism, stop watching now, because this video is going to come at you fast. Let's take a look at the front panel of this IC-7610. Now, like many radios, such as this IC-736, we have a button panel right here. We have that on this radio too. So let's say we want to go directly to a certain frequency, like maybe 7.2 megahertz. So we just type in 7. Oh, we can't. These are band buttons. Unlike this radio from the 1990s, and this radio, we can't type in a frequency on the screen here. Oh yeah, I know. You can just press here. No, press the 7. Okay, so press the 7, hold it down. There it is. Okay, now I can type it in, right? No, I can't. It's another band selection. It's the same as this. They duplicated the control needlessly. This screen should come up like this, so you can type in the frequency. There we go. Now I can type it in. Amazing, right? Now, let's take a look at these buttons over here. Does anybody know what change does? Change what? It doesn't even say. Let's press it. Let's see what it does. So what this button does is it swaps between the inactive VFO and the active one. On older radios, they called that A/B. On this radio, they call it change. Change is good. What about this button? XFC. What does that stand for? I have no idea, but when you press it, it gets louder. It turns out this button is so that when you're operating split, you can check your transmit frequency. On the other radio, for example, this one up here, that's called TX. When you press this, you can check your transmit frequency if you're not in edit mode. On this radio, transmit's called XFC, and it gets louder when you press it. I don't know why it does. Maybe it's adding two together or something like that. Here's another interesting thing about this radio. You can't turn this off over here. You are always going to have an inactive frequency on the dial right there. Always. There's nothing you can do about it. It's always there. Now, if you touch it, here's something kind of cool. So let's say we're listening to this guy, and we want to switch over to this one. You press it, right? Now you can, but you can't hear it. Oh, probably I just need to turn the volume up, right? Oh no, the volume's turned up. And the control works on this VFO, but it doesn't, you can't hear anything, even though the volume's turned up. So that probably means it's muted, right? Because this has mute right here and this light's off, so the light being off probably means mute, right? No, it doesn't. In fact, if you press this button, it turns orange. What does orange mean? I don't know. Orange is my favorite color, but what does orange mean? I have no idea looking at this what orange means. How do we get that to turn green or yellow so it like turns on? Well, that doesn't work. That just makes it turn orange, but it does nothing. There is nothing that happens when you press this. So maybe like you hold it down. I don't know. Maybe you gotta like press and hold this one. Now we've lost them both. The interface is just not happening here. It's weird to me. Here's another weird thing about this radio. Let's say I want to change my transmit bandwidth. You know, how wide the transmission is. What do you think I press? Maybe the little filter thing up here? Nope, you can't press that. Bandwidth? Nope. It turns out you press where it says comp on mid. This is how you adjust your transmit bandwidth. You just press it. No, that's not it. It did change from wide to mid. You have to hold it down, and then this comes over here, and then you tap this, and then you get 3 choices. It's amazing. if you want to adjust what those choices are, or even see what they are, well, you have to press this button and then 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 press this button, and then you can see what they are. Did you see that? All those buttons just to get here. Meanwhile, this is empty over here. Don't you think this would be a good spot to put the adjustment? Maybe, I don't know. All right, so let's get out of there. Now let's say I'm turning on my meters. I press this button to turn on meters. That makes sense, right? Here's a big pet peeve I have about this radio. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 S meters at the same time. 2 of which aren't doing anything, and the other 2 are doing the same thing. Why not turn off the meter up here when these are on? So you have more space for, I don't know, the spectrum, which is about, a little more than a 1/4 inch tall right now, because we're using so much space for these 4 meters. I'm not even using this VFO, but I have to see it. I don't know how to turn it off. So now I've got 4 identical meters here. Great. Look at this. Here's another wasted space. These things, what are they? They're nothing. All they could think of at the factory was to put a peak hold button. Ooh, we can turn on and off the peak hold. And we get this little reddish orange warning here that peak hold has been turned on. Does anybody turn this off? I mean, why would you want this off? What could these things have been? Well, they could have let you pick the meter style, or maybe, I don't know, disable the top S meters. Maybe change the ballistics of the meter, just how fast it updates, how it averages. Maybe you could adjust the peak hold time length, right? The length of integration or something like that. Maybe you could change the meter color. Or maybe, hey, here's an idea. Maybe these could do something with this, the spectrum display. Because here's a huge pet peeve of this radio. If you want to adjust the spectrum display, but you have the meter up, you can't. You might think, I just, touch it or something. No, you can't touch it. That's not how this works. If you touch over here, you're just doing that stuff. If you want to adjust the spectrum, what you have to do on this radio is first exit the meters. Now you get this enormous wasted opportunity. This should just drop down when you do that. I don't know why they did this. But no, then you press menu, then you go to scope. Now here are the controls. Thank goodness. Okay. But yet, more pet peeves. Watch this. If you go to reference and you turn the reference up, the data gets stronger. This is the opposite of every spectrum analyzer I've ever used. Usually, if you want to see a weak signal, you turn the reference down near the weak signal, and then everything is referred to that, and you see it well. But no, on this radio, you turn it up to see weaker signals. I don't know why that is. It seems very backwards to me coming from other spectrum analyzers. By the way, when you're doing this, what do these buttons do? I don't know. Def? What does def do? Nothing? It beeps. What about ref? Does that do anything? That gets you out of the reference. Okay, whatever. Here's another pet peeve about this beautiful display, by the way. When you're in this mode, which is my favorite mode to be in, and you're tuning around, let's say you go to enter a different frequency. You have to go there first, and then press frequency input, and type in, 8.7 megahertz or whatever. You get to this, scope out of range. Now, what do you think should happen when the scope is out of range? Well, it could just enter in a default plus or minus 100 kilohertz mode. That wouldn't be bad. Or maybe we could press that button for you to give you center mode. But no, instead, you get this. Nobody wants to see this. There is no person in the entire world that spent $3,000 on a radio that wants to see that when they go out of range, when all they have to do is press this. The radio should do that for you. It's a very obvious thing. Here's another pet peeve about this radio. Let's say you want to adjust the way your transmission sounds. Well, of course, you've got this button. You can turn the compressor on and off, and you can change the level of it. What is the level, you say? The level of compression. Is it the threshold, the ratio, the response time? I don't know. It's probably just the threshold. Maybe the threshold and ratio at the same time. Doesn't really say. How about an equalizer? Can we adjust the way that our 2.8, 3 kilohertz, 5 kilohertz bandwidth sounds? You would think on a radio with this many processors, with an FPGA, with an operating system, DSP chips, etc., there would be a way to adjust the way your voice sounds. But it turns out this is all you can do. Menu, set, tone control, transmit. There you go, bass and treble. Just like your 1980s Sears 8-track stereo. That's all you get. Bass and treble. What's the bass frequency? I don't know, consult the owner's manual. You can't change it, it's just stuck at that frequency. Same with treble. Is it shelving or peaking EQ? I don't even know. I understand, we've only got 5 kilohertz of bandwidth here, but for goodness sakes, couldn't we have like a parametric equalizer? Or maybe 4 or 5 bands of EQ? I mean, even Winamp that came out in the 1990s and works on a Pentium 1 has a full-blown equalizer. I think this radio should have one too. Perhaps 3 or 4 bands would let people match their voice to the microphone. It's that simple. The compressor is not adjustable. There's no noise gate. There's nothing in here. This radio is downright unsophisticated when it comes to tuning your transmit audio. And I don't mean, that doesn't have a ESSB extreme sideband mode. I don't want that. But it doesn't let you tune it to your voice. And therefore, you just get to sound like a microphone. Here's another interesting limitation of this radio. The memory. Now, first, I have to tell you, how do you get to the memory on a radio like this? Where is the VFO memory button? Well, let's see. On this radio from the 1990s, it's right here. VFO memory. How about this one? VFO memory. How about this one up here? Ooh, it's hidden. It's right there. VFO memory. What about this radio? This $3,000 flagship radio. How do you get to the memory on it? Well, you have to press menu and memory. But that actually doesn't get you to the memory because you can't use these channels. You can select them all you want, but you can't use them. What you have to do is press quick, obviously. And once you press quick, then you can press VFO memory, and then you can press memory. And that is how you get this radio to memory mode. It's ridiculous. Look at the controls the front panel has. You've got the speech button for people who can't see, but unfortunately, if you can't see, you can't use this radio already because the frequency input is not right here like any other radio. You get to press this and press that. How are you going to find this if you're feeling across the front panel? The answer is you can't. You have to plug in a keypad or something like that. So we've got this button over here. We've got the XFC button for people who operate HF split. Right. The change button, the main sub button, the Genie button. But in order to get to the memory, you have to go to quick and VFO memory and then press memory. That's the sequence to get to memory. Okay, but enough of that. Let's say you want to use memory. Well, you press menu, you press the little book here. It looks like something from Windows 3.1. And here's our list of memory channels. My goodness. Okay, do you notice something? We've only got 99 memories. That's it. 99 memories. For a radio like this, there's no categories, there are no banks, and there's only 99 channels. I mean, that's the same memory capacity as this radio from many years before it. And this radio from 1992, they have 99 memories as well. Do you think maybe in the, 20 or 30 years that passed, memory got slightly smaller and more affordable? And maybe this larger radio could have more memory channels? I would think so, but no, we've got 99 memory channels. There's even an SD card reader here. And I've got a 32 gigabyte SD card inside it. 32 gigabytes can hold a lot of memory channels, folks. But in the case of this radio, you just get 99. That's it. You can't even do categories like 60 meter channels, simplex frequencies, repeaters, shortwave stations. Nope, you just got 99. And let's look at how you edit these things too. I'll make a new one here. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, you press this little button here, right? The square. Nope. How do you edit this channel? Hold it down. Nope, there is no way to edit it. They wasted an opportunity here. Here we have an enormous screen. It's a touch screen. You can plug in a keypad, but you can't edit this. So how do you do it? Well, you have to find one that's already programmed, or go through the programming procedure, which involves setting the VFO, then going through the quick menu, going to VFO memory, write the memory channel to here. That's how you do it. Now, once you program it, you can edit the name. What about the frequency? The mode? Well, you just got to get through this thing. Nope, you can't. There's no way to do it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This is a new radio. It should have the ability to edit a memory channel. There's a star button. I don't even know what that does. Look at the other buttons they put down here. Auto tune? I mean, really? Are we singing on the radio? I know, it's not for that. And what about this? Memo pad write, memo pad read. Well, yeah, you get 5 memory channels, I think. I never use this button, right? I don't know what it does. So we've got these 2 buttons that I don't use. Then there's the quick button. Record and play. Yeah, it's handy right here. The speech button, the change button. I don't know. There's a lot of buttons on here. What about the timer button? Who uses that? Seriously? Who puts a timer on the radio and not a VFO memory button? Okay? I've got ancient radios with mechanical timers that have timers, but I think we're past that, and I don't understand why this is here and VFO memory is not on the front. It just doesn't make any sense. Here's another interface gaffle. Let's talk about the antenna button. You can press this button to switch antennas. When you press antenna 2, a little star comes on the top to remind you that you pressed it. Press it again, you get antenna 1. Now, what if you want to program certain bands to use certain antennas? Well, you just hold this button down. No, wait, hold on. Where is it? That's 1R. No, go here. Antenna. Ah, there we go. Now with this, you can program. No, you can't. This doesn't do anything. This is a touch screen, guys. None of this does anything. This knob. Oh, right, we're in memory mode. This, nope. The only way to manipulate this table is through these buttons here. Antenna RX, antenna MR, antenna MW, temp M, and I mean, what is this? Why is this so convoluted? It should be a beautiful screen that comes up, lets you touch the bands you want, and select the antenna you wish. That is how this menu is supposed to look. I don't know why they did it this way. Let's go back to the VFO mode and let me show you another thing. So first we have to press quick to quickly go back to VFO, press VFO memory, and then press VFO, and then press back. So after you do that, now we've got this with this empty space here. So, you know, you just press scope. Nope, scope doesn't pull it down. You see that? And we get an extra meter here too for some reason. I have to press menu and then scope. Now the scope is full size and we get back our scope controls, which were hidden from us before. Let's look at tuning steps. When you turn this knob, you get what's expected. A tuning step per your selection here. What about this knob? What does this do? Nothing, nothing, nothing at all. It just makes a cool sound. My Kenwood TS680S from the 1980s has a knob like this called multi and channel. Guess what it does? Channels, multi, and 1 kilohertz tuning steps. Sound familiar? Well, it should, because this radio has 1 kilohertz tuning steps on this knob and regular tuning on this one. What an amazing feature. You know, it's surprising this radio doesn't have that because that knob is sitting there doing nothing. I don't understand why it doesn't do something. Maybe you're supposed to press it? Nope, then you get this menu. Speaking of frequency navigation, where's the megahertz button? There isn't one. This radio has one from many decades before it. This one doesn't. Can't enter a frequency on the front panel, can't go up and down in megahertz, and there's no simple to use kilohertz tuning step. I don't understand it. It seems like the 7610 is a step backwards in interface design. What do you think? And one more thing. Why does this say TX right here? This little red TX thing comes up all the time. Not when you're transmitting, just all the time. Why does it say TX? Because it wants you to know that you could TX. You could transmit here. But it doesn't mean that you are transmitting. It's just saying you could transmit. Well, thanks. It's good to know I can transmit on 40 meters. I'm glad this red warning light that says TX is always on. I don't get it.